What's up, guys, and welcome back to the DualSense podcast. This is episode 22. I'm one of your co-hosts, Jason. I'm joined, as always, by Travis. Travis, how's it going today?
It's going all right. How was your glorious day off?
It was pretty good. I did not get to game as much as I wanted to so far, but I plan to remedy that later.
What were you doing? Were you like babysitting cats or something?
Well, what did I do? So after I ate lunch, I had to take the wife to get her allergy shot. And then I went to Walgreens to get some toilet paper to get ready for the lockdown that's on the way, probably. And then when I got back, it was time to take the dogs for a walk. And then I set up for the podcast, and now here I am. So
God, I almost fell asleep while you were telling me that story.
maybe we'll go to Home Depot. I don't know if we'll have enough time.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Travis, for the uninitiated or the noobs here on the podcast, we are a weekly PlayStation podcast where you and I get together every week and discuss news, rumors, upcoming game releases, and much more in the world of PlayStation. We post new episodes every Sunday on your usual podcasting platforms. If you would like to engage with us, you can do that on Twitter at the DualSense Pod. And if you would like to check out some of our game streams and clips, we've changed locations there. You can now catch that on YouTube at 4on5 Gaming. 5 is the number 5. It's all one word. So, Travis, without further ado, talk to me about what you've been playing this past week.
Said my final farewell to Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Yeah.
Went out on a high note, winning a gun game Reloaded or whatever it's called. That's all I played that night. I think I played like 11 matches and managed to come in second about 25 times. And then one guy, we both threw a throwing knife at the same guy.
Yeah.
And as he threw his, a guy came around the corner and like ran in the way, and it hit him before mine hit the other guy. So he just threw it blindly and won the game. I think I screamed in your ear.
You did. That's so lucky. You were mad. You thought you'd won. You're like, I won. And then you're like, wait, I didn't win. What happened?
Yeah, because it says victory if you're the top three. So I was like, hell yeah, I won. And then I watched the replay. I was like, that's not me.
Guy's like a 10th of a second ahead of you.
Yeah, what an ass. Anyway, so did that, raced on Gran Turismo, won a couple races, taped a video. I need to clip it and put it on YouTube, but this guy that completely had a meltdown, ping-ponged off about 3 cars and then got mad at us. On the replay, I even went to his camera so you could see him turning the wheel into us, different players. And then we went into a hairpin. He just didn't brake, just went straight into another car. So,
Jesus.
And then he rage quit. It was fantastic. This was all within the first 3 corners.
He caused all that mayhem and then just quit.
Right. So other than that, fired up, got the 5 yesterday, fired it up. Played a little bit of the new COD last night. It was good time. First game, I was awesome, and I think I was like the first or second guy on the board. Did great, and then after that, I wasn't great. So I don't know what happened there. I think I have one part of Astro's Playroom left.
Oh, I thought you had beat it.
Well, there's a one part. There's like a boss battle, and I can't. I got stuck on it last night and gave up.
Oh, okay.
And then I went to 2K and got, started my team. Immediately got an Amethyst, Corey Maggette.
I hate you for that, by the way.
Like second pack, I opened my free agent pack that I got, which was Zion. And then I opened the very first pack I opened, which was just a normal pack, like a deluxe pack. I
I
get an
hate you.
amethyst.
I hate you. Then you got a better coach to me. I have a ruby Steve Kerr, and you got an amethyst. Who was it? Brad Stevens.
Brad
Yeah,
Stevens. So
I hate you.
none of my roster fits with him. But that being said, I played one game of domination, and in the first and third quarter, the Knicks scored 3 points. So
Jesus Christ.
that Brad Stevens card is legit.
Good God. That's
So
well, you're definitely ahead of the curve. I think you're at an advantage right now too because you haven't played the game in any other form than it is right now, and the gameplay has changed significantly as we've talked about a lot on the podcast for this generation. So it's going to take me some time to get used to how it plays now. It's
right,
like went from like janky to like much more close to real basketball, and that's just not something that we're used to on 2K. So
right. It's definitely better gameplay wise. It's not as it, the guys still feel unexplosive to me.
right,
Off the dribble, not athletically. Like they'll still jump out of the gym and they'll still jump passing lanes, but there's something weird about maybe it's just the way I play. But I just don't like I have AI and I just don't feel that burst that he had. Like the
right,
start stop is very difficult to get right. Um,
right.
but other than that, I mean it's good. So what are you doing? What are you even playing?
Played a lot actually. You've seen my list, so I'll just list it all off, and then I'll hit some high notes here. So I played Red Dead Online, Modern Warfare, NBA 2K21, Watch Dogs Legion, Astro's Playroom, Spider-Man Miles Morales, Dirt 5, Black Ops Cold War, and Godfall. So I ran the gamut this week, and especially yesterday. The only game that I didn't get to play on PS5 yesterday or today was Watch Dogs Legion. So I haven't got to see what that looks like yet on the 5. But so far, I'm loving everything that I've played so far on the 5. 2K21 looks ridiculous. Astro's Playroom is surprisingly fun.
Yeah.
It's very fun, and I can see why people, all the hype that surrounded it. I totally get it now. And Miles Morales is beautiful, of course, with all the ray tracing and everything. And Dirt 5 is awesome. The trigger, so Dirt 5, I think, and Black Ops so far have given me the two best like uses of the triggers, of the adaptive triggers. It's really cool. And then Godfall's combat is just super satisfying. It's it's like a mix of God of War and I don't know. It's the closest thing to God of War since God of War. So, but it's awesome. So I'm really enjoying it, and I'm just gonna kind of spread my time around, I guess. But I'm planning on playing Astro's Playroom like one world a day until I beat it, just to kind of spread it out and enjoy it, and then I may try to get the platinum. I don't think it's too bad. It's just a matter of going back and collecting things. It
Hmm.
looks like.
Right.
I'm not going to get the platinum on Miles Morales because you have to play it twice. So not doing that. No, I'm not going to do that. But I am going to beat that. And I'm going to play that and beat that before Cyberpunk so I can make room.
Hmm.
And then I think I am going to also try to play the Black Ops campaign before
Hmm.
Cyberpunk so I can delete the campaign off the PS5 to make room. So anyway,
Right.
that's where things stand right now. It's pretty much about what I was hoping for. So
Mhm.
that's a good thing.
The the I guess you'd say every other level, but within the worlds on Astro's Playroom, every other level you get to be in that pod
Oh yeah, yeah.
and
The like the suit or whatever. Is that what you
yeah
mean?
the suit and
Yeah.
there's those are my favorite ones. Like those missions, I'm gonna call them missions, so levels, but um, they were so creative with those and the way that
Hmm.
you use the triggers in those. It's awesome. Really, I really enjoyed those levels. They're a
Yeah.
lot of fun. They're difficult. They're challenging. Which level did you play last night, or which world?
The first one that I played yesterday was Memory Meadow, and then today
Right.
I played SSD Highway or Super
Hmm.
Highway, whatever Speedway, whatever it is.
That
So
was my least favorite. Um,
okay,
I
I
like
can
the
see
cooling
that.
system. The cooling system I thought was really cool. I just like the characters in it, and
Okay.
I like the way the levels and the mini games were. And I think the last one I did, which was I guess you'd call it the PS4 level. I thought that one was really good, but I can't remember which one that is.
That's cool.
Anyway, it was fun.
I love Astros. That game is so much fun. I don't think I'm gonna delete it right off because like if someone wanted to figure out or see what the DualSense was about, like that's the game you want to hand them, right?
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And I would give them one of those. You could just pick any level really because of the sounds and the feel, and it's not just the triggers; it's also the rumble
Hmm.
and the way the sound moves with it. You get like the sound and the rumble move in the controller. As weird as that sounds.
Right. I let my wife play it. She thought it was really cool. She wished that they had one at school because it's like sensory and everything. You know.
Oh, right, 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 right.
I I'm going to have to like reprogram myself to play these games because I'm like overwhelmed, I guess, because like I'll be playing Godfall or whatever, and I'll have my 3D audio headset on, and I'll hear stuff around me, you know, directionally, obviously, but then I'll be missing like the cues on the controller, so it's just like so much going on at one time, and then
Right.
like I'll miss how like the trigger feels different with different actions and things like that. So I'm trying to focus more on that stuff so I can see how it all works. But there's a lot going on. There's a lot of sensory things going on when you're playing, especially if you're using the controller and then also the headset. There's just a ton of stuff that's kind of bombarding you. So I will say the last thing I'll say before we move on, and you can tell me what you think about this. But although all the games that I've played so far are very pretty, and they're definitely some of the best looking games that I've played by default, I understand totally why people were saying that the DualSense controller is the is maybe the most next gen thing about it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, we've never had anything like the controller. I think that's why it's easy to say that. Like graphically, over the next, let's say there's 5 more PlayStations after this one.
Hmm.
Graphically, it will continue to get better, but it'll be less and less obvious. Like
Hmm.
ray tracing was a big jump, or is a big jump. How many more of those are there? I don't know, but there's a lot of
Right.
room for upgrade within the controller, which they've shown, and there's a lot of room for upgrade within the headset, which they've shown. So I think that's part of the reason. It's just such a change from what we're used to.
I agree. Travis, let's get into the news here. It's another somewhat busy news week. Number one, on Monday, Sony released a PlayStation 5 Ultimate FAQ on the PlayStation blog with a wealth of information on your shiny new console. Of note are that Sony will release future firmware upgrades to make the PS5 capable of outputting resolutions up to 8K. They are also exploring solutions to allow the storage of PS5 games on HDDs or external hard drives for storage only, as PS5 games will not be able to play from an HDD. Also worth noting are that the DualSense controller battery life is similar to the DualShock 4, which has been confirmed by early reviewers and now by us. And finally, that other colorways of the DualSense are coming in the future, such as black and other colors. So, a few things there. What do you think?
Oh, there's lots of minutia in that FAQ. I mean, a
Yeah,
lot,
it's ginormous.
right? So, one, I do like that because everything's there. If you got a question about whatever you want to know about something, how does the audio work? Why does the SSD work? Why doesn't the HDD work? I follow all of that. You know what I mean? It's all there for you. You just got to sit down and go for
Right.
it. Um, I thought one of the things I thought it was interesting was storing the games on the HDD. I hadn't really thought about that, I guess, deeply. So I know all the games, I guess, are made to be on an SSD. So to put it on an HDD, it's a completely different format. Obviously, it's not going to work.
Hmm.
I just hadn't put that together yet. That's probably obvious for a lot of people, but
Right.
I really didn't put that together. That being said, it rolls out really easily how to play the rest of my PS4 games. I can just put them all on my external hard drive. I can plug it in the USB and they'll live there and I can play them off of that. So
Yes,
I do really like that. I don't have to worry about, I mean, at least for the rest of this year, I could just put all my racing stuff on it if I wanted to. If I
that's
wanted to
true.
sell my PS4, I could just put all my racing stuff on there. And Red Dead, I still have Red Dead installed on there. A couple other games I just like to play that I have. I can throw all that on there. Boom, we're good to go. So I like all that. It's easy to do. Um, one thing I thought was interesting when I read that was talking about, did you have the software upgrade for your controller when you started the PS5?
Yes, yeah.
So I plug that in and start the update, and I'm like, what else is this thing going to do in like 2 years?
Right, yeah. I know. They can just tweak it and tune it. Who knows?
So anyway, yeah. So anyway, the FAQ thing was awesome. I'm excited about see what these other colorways are. I think that's kind of fun. It's always fun to see that stuff.
I hope that they give us a gray one, like the PlayStation 1 gray with like the
Yeah.
colored symbols on it. Oh man, that would be awesome. I would jump on that for sure.
Those would look like, have you seen the Travis Scott PlayStation shoes? I meant to send that to you earlier.
No, I haven't seen that.
Him and Nike and PlayStation got together and made like a special edition Nike Dunks, and
Of course.
they're like that PlayStation gray, PS1 gray with the logo. They're pretty dope.
Huh. Okay. Well, that dude's everywhere. He's selling us cheeseburgers and now PlayStations. It's whatever. Number 2, Sony released a brand new PlayStation 5 launch trailer in the US this week, featuring several launch day and upcoming PlayStation 5 games. What is newsworthy about this particular ad, however, is the fine print shown regarding the upcoming games. The disclaimer read, quote, Gran Turismo 7, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, Returnal are all anticipated for the first half of 2021, while Horizon Forbidden West is anticipated for the second half of 2021, end quote. God of War Ragnarok was not shown in the ad, so have no fear. It doesn't mean that it won't make it out in 2021. But nonetheless, what do you make of this? There's got to be a little smoke here, right?
Yeah, definitely. If you look in the FAQ, they have a section where they say talk about these games that are in development, and they say the next installment of the God of War series is in development. So as you
Mm,
said, no fear, it is on the way. Uh, I'm sure that, like we said last week, it'll be the last one that gets released. And by the way, speaking of last week, we were pretty right on with our predictions about how the order these games would be.
I
Um,
agree. Yeah,
based off of this. So you guys are getting this shit for free, by the way. You just write that down if you want to know.
I
Um,
agree. We were right. The only thing we did forget Returnal. I totally forgot about Returnal.
yeah, and part of that is it's not a huge game either,
Right.
and it's it's not going to be a $70 game more than likely. Have they confirmed that?
I would guess it will be just by if the reason why I say that is because if Destruction All Stars was originally going to be a $70 game, then I
Mhm.
think Returnal will be too because it's a second party
Nah,
game.
that's a fair point. Unless they make it a plus game as well.
True, could be.
So like we were saying, we know Ratchet's closer than most of these because of what we've seen
Hmm.
with it. And we've seen stuff from Gran Turismo, and most people think it wasn't a vertical slice, so I would agree with them.
Hmm.
So that being said, yeah, all that seems right on. But I'll go back to what I said before. I don't trust a Gran Turismo release date until I have the game.
You guys in the community are so skeptical of that game. It's crazy.
We've
'Cause,
been burned before with them.
yeah, apparently. So I think I'm going to stick with what we said last week. I think Ratchet and Clank in March. I think Gran Turismo in May or June. That's the first half. I don't know where Returnal fits in. That's an interesting one. I could see that. Well, we've got Destruction All Stars in February. I
Right,
could see that coming out in February, or I could just see them slap that in between Turismo and Ratchet and Clank in like April.
right.
That seems kind of like an April release to me. So, and I'm going to stay with Horizon in September and God of War sometime in November is my guess. So
Uh,
that's a hell of a year. Not to
it
mention
is.
the third party stuff that's coming out,
Right.
like that new Final Fantasy 16 that people were
Hmm.
stoked about, and
Hmm.
Death Loop, is in May now. We know that for sure.
Right. That's gonna be
That
awesome
will
too.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. And then there's something else big, but I forget what it is. Anyway, that's a hell of a year. Number 3, there are some questions yet to be answered in regards to the future of the PS5, which Sony's Hideaki Nishino shed some light on during a recent interview with website AV Watch. For starters, Nishino revealed that there is no 1440p resolution support on PS5 due to TVs being the top priority, but it could be added in the future. Regarding PlayStation VR, he added, quote, I would like to expect the PlayStation 5 to have a VR experience that is appropriate for the PlayStation 5. I can't comment any further, but I'm looking forward to it, which he proceeded to then laugh, end quote. When asked about the lack of a web browser on PS5, Nishino responded, quote, "We have doubts about whether a web browser is necessary for a game console as an app, so we'll have to wait and see," end quote. And finally, in regards to cross-generation games on PlayStation moving forward, he stated, quote, "The current assumption is that the transition from PS4 to PS5 will take about 3 years. For a certain time, we ask developers to develop on the premise of cross-generation of PS4 and PS5," end quote. Thoughts here?
The VR comments are I went back and forth on what I think they mean. I can't decide if he's saying like if he's calling them out, like if he's saying what I've seen is not to the level of PS5, because I kind of feel like that on one hand, but then on the other hand, I feel like he's kind of saying like he's being coy, like
Mm-hmm.
like because he laughs, that kind of makes me feel like he kind of knows more than he's letting on. So anyway, I can't
Right.
decide what that means about VR. I will say that it does need to be PS5 level. What that means exactly, I'm not really sure. Every time I've played VR, I'm always very aware that I'm in VR. I don't ever feel fully immersed,
Sure.
but whatever. It's not that it's not cool. It's just I just feel like I'm playing a video game. So I want it to jump up like the controller did, but that's probably not
Right.
realistic.
You never know.
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. 3 years seems like a lot for this cross generation thing, because that'll
Yeah,
give it 4 years. I'm sorry, that'll give it 10 years of full support. Like that's a lot.
it is. That's a long time to support one system for a decade. But that's kind of been what Sony has done is support their systems for 10 years. So, I mean, even PS2, it came out in 2000, and I think there was probably a PS2 game that came out in 2010 is my guess. So, probably a sports game like FIFA or something, but that that's not a good look though for these cross-gen games like we've talked about in the past. This just means that we're going to get, these type of games until 2023. Like Miles Morales plays on PS4 and PS5, and Horizon's going to come to PS4 and PS5. So we're going to have 3 more years of that. Uh, that's just, I don't know. That's kind of outrageous to me. And then
I agree.
as far as his comments on VR, I think that obviously signals that it's definitely in development, and I think we're going to hear something more about it next year. I think that's pretty likely. And then the last thing, the weird thing about the browser is that it's there. It already exists on the system. So it's if you go in the settings, there's web browser settings on the console.
Right.
And then the other thing is that when I linked our YouTube account to my system, it took me to the web browser to complete my sign in on YouTube
Hmm.
on the PS5. So it's there. You just can't use it. It's weird.
I wonder if you have the YouTube app downloaded, would it take you straight to that instead of the web browser?
No, I had it downloaded
Oh,
and it didn't. It took me to the web browser. So yeah,
interesting.
that
I
there's a lot of
forget
people.
I forget that it's there on the 4. Like I never use the web browser. I've never opened the app. I don't I
Right.
just it's just odd that it's even there to me.
I don't use it either, but a ton of people were upset on Reddit because people use it to watch Pornhub. So I think like I saw something like last year sometime like the PlayStation consoles are like in the top 5 of like most popular devices that are used for Pornhub. Like Pornhub had stats on it and they released it. Like
Wow.
people watch Pornhub on their PS Vita and shit, like PSP
Can't you
still.
wouldn't they give you like a virus? Like I
I
have a lot of
guess
questions.
that's what I thought. Somebody tweet direct messages on Twitter and tell
Yeah,
us
just let
about
us know.
your Pornhub experience.
Yes, Jason wants to know for research.
Yeah, we're just researching, guys. Research in the name of science. Number 4. According to a new feature from Bloomberg on rising video game prices, Sony was at one time considering a price increase to more than $70 for standard versions of its games. In the article, Bloomberg stated, quote, "Inside publishing houses, a price hike has been plotted and dissected by executives for years. They point to inflation, as well as the ballooning cost to develop AAA games, as justification. At one point, Sony discussed going even higher before settling on $70," end
That's
quote.
none of that's really surprising to me.
Sure.
To be honest, I forgot the games were $70 until I went to download them last night. I was like, "Oh, yeah, it's a thing that we have now." I just don't think about it, but okay, so, we already see different versions of games with different prices, and those prices give you, like, a pre-order bonus or an addition bonus.
Mm,
Maybe you get a skin or a card or whatever. Um, and this is just a thought. I wanna see what you think about it, but and this is also a slippery slope. This could really be weird. But maybe the $70 version is, the basic version of the game, so it's only 30 FPS instead of 60, or maybe it has slower load times, or it's missing, like, you can't play my team on NBA unless you buy the Kobe version,
mm.
and that, quote, unquote, "curbs the cost" because it's cheaper to develop or to make. Now, that might not actually curb any cost. I don't know how that works, I don't know how the pricing works on manufacturing a game, but if they want to make them more expensive, I could see them offering a cheaper version to try to like curb any kind of pushback.
That's interesting. That's an interesting idea. I think that you never know. Like you could always see games becoming this like a la carte type of thing where, well, for instance, what I mean is right now we have the capability to delete parts of games that we're done
Hmm.
playing or we don't want to play, right?
Mhm.
So like I can delete the Call of Duty campaign or I can delete the multiplayer and never play it. So it's not out of the question that we could get to the point where you just buy certain game modes. I mean, hell, you can basically do it now. You buy Fortnite, it's just a multiplayer game, right? Or
Right.
it's a free to play game, whatever. But
Or Warzone.
or Warzone, yeah, we're not too far off from that. So I could see that at
Yeah,
some point down the road. Who knows what all they talked about, you know?
right. I mean, and when they say again, you have to think about what they're talking about. Like when they say it's been dissected by executives, or they've been talking about it for years, or discussed going even higher. Like we've been in meetings before where you just talk about things. It doesn't mean that it's serious.
Right.
It's just sometimes it's a brainstorm. It's just a thought exercise. Like
Sure.
what can we do? It's just good to know sometimes. Um,
Sure.
but to your point about a la carte games, like if let's say they do that with Call of Duty, the campaign is 40 and the multiplayer is 40. So then if you buy both, they are making more money because they're getting 80 instead of 70. The reason why buying one might still give them the money they want is all the microtransactions that are built in now. So as
Hmm.
we see a push into microtransactions, maybe we'll see that, like as you said, the a la carte suddenly becomes more viable.
Hmm. I could totally see that, man. It would not shock me if somebody went there. Because think about how many people never play a Call of Duty campaign, you
I
know?
haven't played it in years.
There you go. You're the guy. You're the guy. Number 5, Sony may be shifting market priorities within its PlayStation division, according to website PlayStation Lifestyle. Sony has begun to sideline the Japanese market over disappointing PS4 sales in the country, having sold less than 10 million units in their home nation, which is less than the PS3 sold. Sony's PlayStation division has pivoted to make the US its top priority, according to Bloomberg, as PlayStation headquarters is also now located in California. Sony has denied these reports, however, as spokeswoman Natsumi Adarashi denied the claims, pointing out that the PS5 will launch first in Japan alongside several other countries, including the United States. Adarashi added, quote, "Our home market remains of utmost importance," end quote. Hmm. Anything you take away from this?
I'll try to make sense of what's in my head. I tried to write this out and I couldn't really place what I wanted to say in the right way. I don't think it's in the Japanese culture to just forget about Japan. Just because their HQ is here in America doesn't mean that they've forgotten about Japan. But to me, it does make sense for them to be here because of the USA market. Like we have more money, it's a bigger market. There's a lot more gamers here than in Japan just by default. From what I
Mm-hmm.
understand, in Japan, they're not just playing PlayStation. I feel like a lot of people play PC in Japan.
Hmm.
So look, it doesn't mean they're abandoning the Japan. I think this is kind of overblown. I mean, they just brought Crunchyroll for $1 billion.
True.
It seems a lot more Japanese than American to me.
Right. I think you make good points there. are a lot more gamers here, and there's also a lot more developer talent here in America. So, I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
most of the game developers, I think a majority of game development studios in the world are based in California or on the West Coast. So, it's just where you like you said, you go where the money is, and if you want to be at the epicenter of games, it's here in America. So I get that, but I don't think that one has to, dictate the other. I think they can be exclusive to one another. So
right,
I mean, it would be silly of them to just relinquish that market because, Microsoft wants to get in there bad, and why would you want to let them do that? I don't see that happening.
exactly.
So,
I think it's a smart move from a business perspective because of the talent and because of this the huge like our GDP is so big.
right.
It just makes sense to be here. And if
Sure.
if Microsoft is your main competition, don't you want to be in their backyard and put a little pressure on them, as opposed to across the ocean?
Yeah, I agree. You gotta fight on the same battlefield, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Number 6, Spider-Man developer Insomniac Games announced on Monday that in a future update, fans will gain the ability to export save files to the remastered version of the original game. The studio tweeted, quote, "We have heard you. In an upcoming update for Spider-Man PS4, we will add the ability to export your save to Marvel's Spider-Man Remastered. This update will also add the 3 new suits from Remastered to the PS4 game. We expect to bring you this update around Thanksgiving," end quote. So people complained quite a bit about this, Travis, not being able to bring their saves over
Hmm.
to the remastered version. What do you think about this move here?
I mean, good on them for listening and addressing the issue. I think that the bigger issue we talked about this a lot, but this kind of highlights that the data issue is and has always been a developer thing, not a PlayStation thing.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I this is they needed to do this. I mean, people were upset and it really did not make any sense that you could play the game on PS4 and
Hmm.
then you could play the game on PS5, but you weren't able to bring your save. I mean, I understand making people pay for the game, but not being able to bring your save is kind of silly. So glad that they made this work. Number 7, developer BioWare finally announced the worst kept secret in gaming, the long awaited Mass Effect Legendary Edition, which will launch in spring of 2021 for PlayStation 4 and on PlayStation 5 via backwards compatibility. The collection includes all 3 original games, complete with all single player DLC. The remasters will feature 4K resolution with increased frame rates, better visual effects, and revamped graphical assets. Alongside the announcement, BioWare also revealed they are in early development on the next Mass Effect game for next gen systems. What do you think of this?
Cool. The only thing I'm interested in is to see if they take the leap that Demon Souls took.
Hmm.
As in like how much better it looks and how much better it seems to play and all
Mm-hmm.
that fun stuff. If it doesn't do those things, then it seems like that's a big letdown.
Yeah, this is a huge gaming series. I mean, this is beloved. It's, got a huge fan base. It's like BioShock, in a way. And I've never played these games. I played Andromeda a little bit and it was okay. But I'll probably wait for these to be on sale or for this to be on sale. But I'm interested in this to see what all the fuss is about, and what better way to do it than through this. So we'll see. I might consider it. It depends on what's out at the time. So there are just so many games to play nowadays. It's hard to imagine sitting down to play 3 gigantic
Yeah.
open world RPGs. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
it's
that's
that's
that's a
hard
tough
to do.
sell. Yeah. Number 8, New York based publisher and developer Take Two Interactive Software has officially reached an agreement to acquire UK based racing game publisher and developer Codemasters, as reported by Business Wire. The deal will see Codemasters and all of their IP, such as Dirt and F1, acquired by the Grand Theft Auto publisher. Chairman and CEO of Take Two Strauss Zelnick said, quote, "Codemasters has a renowned history of creating some of our industry's most beloved and commercially successful racing franchises, and we believe that their offerings will be highly complementary to our sports portfolio and enhance our organization's long term growth." End quote. The $994 million acquisition is expected to close in the first quarter of the 2021 calendar year. Well, the deal is official, as we talked a little bit about last week. So, do you have any final thoughts here on this?
Right. We know we talked about the pros and cons and the issues and concerns last week. All those are the same. Um,
Hmm.
like we said, $1 billion is amazing. Even though it's not all in cash, it's still pretty wild that that's how much they're paying for what's essentially a racing thing. But that
Right.
being said, it's nice to see a company build itself up to the point where the competition says we just have to buy them. We can't even compete, and that's a very American goal. I know this is a British company, but uh, good on them for that. And I'm sure that most of the team will stay on. Theoretically, like you said, like Take Two is the publisher. They do develop, but they are the publisher, and they're going to want the development team to stay and keep the things that make dirt and F1 successful.
I would think
But
so.
I'm excited to see what they can do with all these resources now. Like what can be added, what can be changed? Do they have more room to move around? Can we get laser scan tracks and courses now? Stuff like that. So um
Hmm.
what does it mean? I mean, we never know at this point, but I don't think it's such a terrible thing.
No, if as long as you're going to take Codemasters and you're going to get an injection of financial backing from Take Two, you can't beat that, and you can only hope that that's a positive thing. So that they can do some of those things you're mentioning, like laser scanning courses and whatever. So that would be awesome. But as you mentioned last week, you better get ready for some loot boxes or some microtransactions in these games because it's inevitable. It's got to be, right? Number 9, PlayStation revealed October's most downloaded PlayStation Store games on Tuesday. They are as follows. On PlayStation 4, the top downloaded game was FIFA 21, followed by Star Wars Squadrons, NHL 21, Madden NFL 21, Crash Bandicoot 4, Ghost of Tsushima, Watch Dogs Legion, Minecraft, NBA 2K21, Grand Theft Auto 5, Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Call of Duty Black Ops 3, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, Red Dead Redemption 2, Watch Dogs 2, Mafia Definitive Edition, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, UFC 4, and finally, at number 20, the Dark Pictures anthology Little Hope. On PSVR, the top downloaded game was Beat Saber, followed by The Walking Dead Onslaught, Vader Immortal, a Star Wars VR series, Job Simulator, Swordsman VR. I think that's what that's. The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, Gorn, Super Hot VR, Pistol Whip, Marvel's and finally at number 10, Marvel's Iron Man VR.
I love that job simulators on that list. Like you don't like I just worked all day. I want to go home, put on my VR and pretend to work again.
Right. People that supposedly it's a really good VR game. I've never seen anything about it. On free to play, the top free to play games were number 1, Rogue Company, which is weird, followed by Rocket League at number 2, Genshin Impact at number 3, Call of Duty Warzone at number 4, and Fortnite at number 5. So, anything stick out to you here on any of these charts other
Well,
than Job Simulator?
job simulator, yeah, I think it's interesting that Crash Bandicoot 4 is in the top 5. Didn't expect
Yeah.
that to kind of hang out, but we're like at this point we're starting to see these annual sports games starting to kind of flush out like these like Ghost of Tsushima's, all these like
Hmm.
exclusives are starting to fall off because it's the time for these sports games to get bought up around the holidays. But like next month, we know that Cold War is going to be on that list somewhere.
Right.
Um, it'll be interesting to see how long Crash can stay there. I'm just really surprised by that. But I mean, the Star Wars Squadron is getting a lot of positive feedback. I don't think very many people expected that, but
Right.
and part of that is most of us don't have very high expectations for Star Wars games or the movies, for
Mm.
that matter. So it's nice to see they finally got something right.
Yeah, I that's very surprising that that's at number 2 to me. I'm also surprised at some of these older games that are on here, but I guess it's because we've been in a lull and there hasn't been a whole lot. But like Watch Dogs 2 and Black Ops 3 and Assassin's Creed Odyssey that they charted in the top 20. That's odd, but I guess it's people just picking things up on sale maybe because they're in a lull before the next gen. So, and then the other thing, like I mentioned while I was reading it, was Rogue Company at number 1.
Right.
That's not an easy task to dethrone. Really, at this point, any of those other 4 games on the list: Rocket League, Genshin Impact, which is huge now, Warzone we know is huge, and Fortnite is always huge. So that's interesting. We'll have to keep an eye on that next
I'd,
month.
I'd be willing to bet next month that Bugs Next might be at the top.
Ooh, interesting. I forget that that's free. I don't know if I'll try that or when I will or not. So we'll see. And then, similar to this, Travis, the MPD Group also released their October sales charts this week. The top 10 games sold on PlayStation 4 for the month were number 1, FIFA 21, followed by Madden NFL 21, Watch Dogs Legion, Ghost of Tsushima, NHL 21, Crash Bandicoot 4, Modern Warfare, Star Wars Squadrons, NBA 2K21, and Marvel's Avengers. And it is worth noting that that is the first time ever that FIFA has taken the top spot on a US sales chart.
Wow, that's surprising.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I kind of always feel like the digital downloads they obviously have more potential to be an impulse buy.
Uh-huh.
And I wonder if Star Wars is affected by that because it's so much lower in this list. I wonder if people
Right.
were like, I don't know, and they see Star Wars, they're like, oh, I'll do it, sure. But when you're at the
Yeah.
store, like it's behind a case, and then you can kind of talk yourself out of it.
That's, you know what? I've done it. Yeah, that's fair. And I'm also surprised that Avengers has hung on and
Yeah,
to make the top 10 because we know that
they
game's
killed it.
not doing too yeah, that game's not doing too well. Ghost of Tsushima holding on at number 4 is good. And then there's Crash again at number 6, so we'll see where that charts next month. Number 10, we also have some news nuggets here, Travis, that we need to get through. As always, feel free to jump in wherever. First nugget: PlayStation announced on Twitter that the PlayStation camera adapter required to connect PSVR to PS5 will be included in the PlayStation VR Marvel's Iron Man VR bundle starting at the end of this month. In a PlayStation blog post, Astro's Playroom director Nicholas Doucet teased that, quote, Astro will be back with the news soon. Possibly on PlayStation VR 2.
That would be my guess. I'm not sure what else you could do with it because they're not going to build more level platforms or anything like that. I'm not sure what else they could add.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. So there is an Astros game on VR, so that's what makes me think that. And I kind of have a feeling we're going to hear, like I've been saying, about PSVR 2 next year. So we'll see. Also, Travis, Bethesda Softworks announced that PS5 timed exclusive shooter Deathloop will launch on May 21st, as we mentioned earlier.
There's a price listing for it on PS Store, and it's $53.
Oh yeah, it's like 10% off, right? For PS
Yeah,
Plus or whatever.
yeah. That's just super weird to me that you can pre-order it and it's on sale.
Right. I'm gonna check that out. It looks really cool. I'm not gonna pre-order it right now because shit gets delayed too much, but once we have a firm idea, I think I'm gonna check that out. Also, developer Bungie announced on a Destiny 2 live stream that the Crucible competitive multiplayer will be playable at 120 frames per second on PS5. Website Push Square reports that Sony Interactive Entertainment CEO Jim Ryan told BBC News that more PS5 systems will be available before and after Christmas. That the PlayStation 5 uses a mere 1.3 watts of power in rest mode with all features enabled, compared to 5 watts on the PS4 Pro. Push Square also reported that The Last Guardian runs at 60 frames per second on PS5, but only when playing the disc version. It's interesting. They also reported that puzzle game King Oddball and hack and slash game Undead Horde will both come to PS5 at some point in the future. I think one of those, or maybe both, are already actually out on PS5. They may have stealth released, I think. Push Square also reported that Cyberpunk 2077's Night City Wire Episode 5 will take place on November 19th.
What's this one about? Is it where they tell us the game isn't real, or did they delay did
uh,
they delay just to do this episode?
I think so. I think that I read it's about music and
Oh
Johnny
god.
and oh, I thought we already did that by the way. And Johnny Silverhand, Keanu Reeves' character, which I also thought we already did, but I don't know. So who knows at this point? It might be a rerun. And finally, Push Square reported, Travis, that Genshin Impact will run at 60 frames per second on the PlayStation 5 via the Game Boost feature. Genshin Impact also received its big 1.1 update on Tuesday, which added new characters and a bunch of other stuff. Website PlayStation Lifestyle reported that Square Enix's games division reported a loss of $48 million for the quarter ending September 30th, primarily due to underwhelming sales of Marvel's Avengers, which cost over $100 million to make and has only sold roughly 3 million copies. Oh, ouch.
Okay, so what's 3 million times 60?
I don't know. Did you already do this math?
Yeah, it's 180 million. So
Okay. What
where's
am I
the 80
missing?
million? I mean,
What am I missing?
if the game costs $100 million to make, and they made 180 million before the other transactions that people buy and stuff.
Take 30% off of that because that's the storefront cut.
Right. So even at that, there's still over 100 million. There's
Right.
still like 20 or 30 million over.
Hmm.
So I'm not sure how they lost 48,
Right.
because
Hmm.
that would imply that they. I don't understand. Of course, when you say the game
Right.
costs $100 million, that to me is development, acting, all that
True.
stuff, shipment,
That's true.
packaging. It's everything. So even if that's the case, I don't understand.
Those are fair points. I don't know. Either way, it's not looking good. Only 3 million copies. Well, I mean, I guess that's actually pretty good. I mean, Ghost of Tsushima has sold 5, so we'll see. We'll see how it shakes out. They're working on it. We'll give them a chance. PlayStation Lifestyle also reported that PS5 save files will not be transferable to a USB drive and rather can only be backed up to the cloud. That Sony has updated the PlayStation 4 Remote Play feature to now allow users to remotely connect to their PlayStation 5 and stream games to their PlayStation 4.
Can
Interesting.
you? Why would you do that?
I have no idea. I guess like maybe you want to play PS5 in the bedroom, but the PS4 is in the bedroom. That's all I got.
Okay.
And finally, PlayStation Lifestyle reported that GameStop will have PlayStation 5 stock for sale in store only on Black Friday in the US. Each store will have a minimum of 2 units available.
The first time I read that as a maximum of 2 units, and I was like, I'll just go fuck myself for 2 units. Like,
Right.
I'll
Well,
get in line.
so when I went to, speaking of, when I went to pick up my PS5 at GameStop on Thursday, people were lined up out front, and the jabroni finally comes and unlocks the door and pokes his head out at 10 o'clock or whatever. And he is like, are all, if you guys don't have a pre-order in line, if you're just trying to get one, we don't have any extras in stock. And there was a dude at the front of the line who just turned, like, tucked his head and like walked out of line and walked right to his car and left. That dude was first in line. He'd probably been standing there for 2 hours hoping that he was going to get a PS5. And that dude comes out and just crushes his soul
Yeah.
immediately. So
He looked right at everybody and swallowed a pistol.
right there in his Celica. Just, oh, so him and there's one other guy too. But and it was cold on Thursday. What a feeling. What a feeling. Website PlayStation Universe reported that Rocket League will receive a PS5 upgrade later this year featuring 4K at 60 frames per second. Website Games Radar reported that The Last of Us Part 2 and God of War both utilized the DualSense's haptic feedback on PS5.
I was wondering about that when I was looking at those games last night. I was
Uh-huh.
those games that, what do you always call it? Claiming.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that makes God of War more interesting.
You need to do it. That
Right.
you will like that game. You'll love that game.
I have so much to play right now.
Did you get Dirt 5?
I was downloading. I don't know if it's done yet.
Huh.
I guess
Okay.
it's done. It was downloaded when I got off.
Interesting.
Since my thing doesn't send me updates, I don't know.
Okay, so there's an up. I figured that out too. We're getting off a tangent, but there's an app update. So go to the iOS store and update your app,
Lord.
and then update your app, and then restart your phone, and then
Mhm.
go into the settings on the app and make sure that your PS5 is linked to it.
So I logged in through my app
Yes.
onto the PS5. What I enjoy is that my phone is set to auto update and it's incapable of doing it.
Yeah, I guarantee there's just an update sitting there waiting for you on the PlayStation app on iOS. So check that. It's fixed it for me. Also, Travis website Gamatsu, our buddies over there, reported that the next game in the Dark Pictures anthology is titled House of Ashes, and it will release on PS4 and PS5 in 2021. That the PS5 version of Dead by Daylight will be available at launch on November 12th, and it is confirmed. That Tekken 7's fourth season will begin on November 10th and include a new character, Kunamitsu, and a new stage, Vermilion Gates. I'm pretty sure Kunamitsu was on Tekken Tag Tournament back in the day on PS2. That's an awesome game. Gematsu also reported that shoot 'em up game Exit the Gungeon is now available on PS4 alongside the Hello to Arms update. That Bridge Constructor The Walking Dead will launch on PS4 on November 19th. That Dragon Ball Z Kakarot DLC, A New Power Awakens Part 2, will release on November 17th. That 2D stealth game Wildfire will release on PS4 on December 3rd. That first person exploration puzzle game, Dying 1983, will launch on PS5 this winter. Imagine dying in 1983.
Yeah, and not dealing with this shit.
Gematsu also reported that the Serious Sam collection will come to PS4 on November 17th. That Fallout 76's new update called Still Dawn will launch on December 1st.
Why are they still updating this game?
Dude, there's a following now. It's a cult following now.
I feel like it's been out for 11 years.
But it's all free though. So I mean, I guess people are just buying whatever currency to spend in the game and shit. Gematsu also reported that action shooter Poison Control, which we made fun of several weeks back, will release on April 13th in North America and April 16th across the pond in Europe. That co-op robot action RPG Megaton Musashi will also come to PS5 when it releases. Imagine getting a Megaton Musashi.
Where do you get those at? Is that like a Swedish massage, or is that like that nickname for opium?
Yamatsu also reported that a physical edition of Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted will release on PS4 on December 15th. That Five Nights at Freddy's Core Collection will come to PS4 on January 12th. And finally, that publisher Koei Tecmo announced Neo Collection will come to PS5 on February 5th, and will include remastered versions of both games. They also announced Neo 2, the complete edition for PlayStation 4, which includes all DLC and will release on December 17th. And that is all for the news this week. As we roll on here with the new game releases this week, of which there's a meaty list because it includes all of the launch games across systems. And I just realized, Travis, that I forgot to curate this list for you by deleting duplicates across systems. So feel free to do that if there's a PS4 and a PS5 of the same game. But I kick it over to you.
On November 9th, we had Beyond Enemy Lines Remastered Edition on PS4. I gotta tell you, just play Call of Duty or Fortnite. Imagine playing N64 James Bond and what you thought that looked like in your head. Those are the graphics. So,
Yikes.
not good for PlayStation. Great for N64. On the 10th of November, we had Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Destiny 2 Beyond Light, Fuser, Liftoff Drone Racing, and that's exactly what you see on ESPN2 sometimes.
Sounds kind of cool.
Planet Coaster Console Edition, which is on our Let's Get It when it's on sale list.
For sure. That looks dope.
Sakuna of Rice and Ruin. That's my PlayStation Name of the Week game.
Really?
I love that name, of Rice and Ruin. Slide Stars, which is how to put this. It's social media influencers that you've never heard of riding giant inflatable bananas or flamingos down water slides while you collect coins.
Jesus Christ.
And it's as awful as it sounds. And then my game of the week this week is 13, and that's it's in Roman numerals X111.
Hmm.
It's basically a Jason Bourne story arc. Like you wake up, you don't know who you are, but you have all of your skills. And the art is kind of like a mixture of Deathloop, a comic book, but also Archer.
Okay.
And man, it's like a first person action thing, and you basically go through the world trying to remember who you are. And it
Interesting.
looks awesome. It looks pretty cool. So
Sounds
check
cool.
check that out if you want a Gap game. It's probably perfect for that. And last on the 10th, we had Yakuza Like a Dragon. On November the 11th, we had Death Come True, which is a Japanese horror game with real actors.
Wow. Okay.
It's very odd, and I'll never play a horror game, but it's interesting to look at. We also had Lost Artifacts on November the 12th. All those games I just said were on PS4. On November the 12th, we had Assassin's Creed Valhalla PS5, Astro's Playroom PS5, Borderlands 3 PS5, Bug Snacks on both generations, Dead by Daylight PS5, Demon Souls PS5, Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition on the 5, of course Dirt 5 on the 5. On the 4 we had Esports Life Tycoon where you are like the general manager of an esports team.
Uh-huh.
Fortnite on PS5, Godfall on PS5, Handball 21 on PS4. I looked
Let's
up a
go.
I looked up a French review, so I
French
definitely
review.
I
Okay.
definitely know that they use the word defense. So you play defense on it.
Défense.
It's a real league in real life. Like there's an
Yeah.
Ajax team and a Paris Saint Germain team.
Jeez.
So, but anyway, it's
Wow.
if you're into handball, it's all you got.
Yeah.
We had
That's a shame.
Just Dance 2021 on PS4, King Odd, which we just mentioned on the 5,
Hmm.
Maneater on the 5, Spider-Man Miles Morales on both generations, Spider-Man Remastered on PS5, 2K21 NBA on PS5, No Man's Sky Next Generation on PS5, which looks really cool.
Hmm.
Observer System Redux. How do you say
Yeah.
that?
Both are accurate.
Okay, that game on PS5. Overcooked All You Can Eat on PS5. Planet Coaster Console Edition on PS5. Sackboy on both. Pathless on both. And the
Hmm.
Pathless, there's a couple of videos online of people playing it. It doesn't look as terrible and as boring as I thought, but I'm still not going to play it.
Yeah.
Watch Dogs Legion on PS5, at WRC 9 on PS5, and on the 13th we have the new Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War on both generations,
Hi-oh.
and Kingdom Hearts Memory of Melody on PS4.
Nice. So on the Pathless, I have a feeling just right in my plums that is going to be a PlayStation Plus game very soon. So if you're on the fence on that one, just hold off. Just trust us. I think that it's coming. Just hang on. And that's all for the new game releases this week. Thank you, Travis. And I wanted to wrap up the show here, Travis. I didn't really have anything in particular in mind, so I thought we would just talk about what games we're going to be playing in the week ahead because there may be some that you haven't got to play yet on your PS5 and likewise for me. So what's on your menu?
Well, definitely want to finish the boss battle on Astro's Playroom. I don't know if I'll ever do it. It seems so difficult right now that I'm annoyed with it. So I'll probably let it sit there for a little bit. I don't know. You'll see when you get there what I mean.
Hmm.
It's weird. It's harder than it should be. And maybe it's just me.
Okay.
Definitely want to get in on some dirt. I know some people have had some issues getting into lobbies. It's hard to tell if that's a player base, if there's not enough players yet, or if it's like a server issue. But definitely want to get to playing on that, see what it's like on the controller, see what kind of nonsense I can get into. The arena racing, where you're like
Oh
time,
yeah.
that looks
Hmm.
really really cool. So anyway, that'll be fun to put some times up and see who can beat my time, see if I can beat you guys or whatever. Looking forward to that. Other than that, 2K and Call of Duty, I'm sure there'll be a lot of that.
Hmm.
The newer maps, the different maps we played on last night were a lot of fun. I really like those.
Yeah.
I'm bound and determined to get a kill with the combat bow, and then I'm going to switch to the exploding RC car. but I
Oh,
have
I
to
don't
get
have
it.
that yet. Yeah.
I have to get it. Now, by the way, just a humble brag, very first game, very first match we're in, we play domination. We get to halftime. I had the fucking play of the half. First half I'm in, guys. Walked
You
right down to
did.
point A and I just wrecked some dudes. Sent them back to the 4.
You hit fired everybody.
So yeah, I don't know what I blacked out. And I want to. I played one game of domination, so I'm sure I'll end up playing a lot of 2K here the
Oh
next
yeah.
couple of days.
Yeah.
I like getting cards. It's like I like collecting the cards. I don't know what that
It's
is. It's
quite
like
fun.
yeah, it's like a hoarder mentality thing. It's the same thing on like Avengers. Like I liked getting all the loot. It just made me feel
Hmm.
better. It's like some sort of like a completionist thing.
Right. Speaking of loot, the loot on Godfall is awesome. Like all the designs of the loot
Hmm.
are so varied and awesome, and they have cool names. It's awesome. Just love it.
Well, the video you sent us on PlayStation, which is an easy thing to do now,
It is. Yes, it is.
it looked really cool. You looked like Sunshine from Remember the Titans, but it looked cool.
Yes, I just unlocked my first new Valor plate, so I can switch if I want to, but I don't think I'm going to yet. But so anyway, is that all you're playing this week?
I suppose I got to get all my PS4 stuff on that external and
Mm,
decide either at that point if I'm going to sell that or put it in. I mean, I have other consoles on my entertainment center. I have, my original consoles, my 1 and my N64, but I don't have the 2 or the 3. I sold those to buy the 4 and the 3.
gotcha.
I don't know, it just seems weird to keep the 4 if I don't have the rest. You know what I mean?
True.
But and it's
Yeah.
also it's not a pro either, so I don't even know if it's really worth anything.
Yeah. You might want to ask John about it because he keeps original consoles. But I mean, especially now that you can play your PS4 games on the PS5, like whatever ones you own. Well,
Yeah,
unless you had one on a disc, which I don't know if he did or not. But I don't know. Kind of seems obsolete. But
right. Oh, by the way,
anyway,
did you see? I saw it on Reddit. I don't know if I sent it to you guys or not. Maybe it was the GameStop value of the new systems on trade-in.
yeah, it's already there. What are they giving? Like 200 for an Xbox and
Yeah,
250 for a PS5?
it is like 150 in cash.
Jesus Christ, guys, go fuck off with that shit. That's ridiculous.
Love it.
Unbelievable. Well, I'm going to be playing a lot this week, is my hope. Definitely want to play Call of Duty with you guys. Well, one thing I didn't mention earlier about this is that do you remember me complaining a little bit about the feel of the guns when we
Yep.
played the beta or whatever?
Yeah. At
Well,
first.
it all comes together now because the reason why they felt a little bit lifeless is because on PlayStation anyway, they're building in the life or the feel of the guns and the triggers. Would
Oh
you
yeah.
agree?
That's
So
their life. Their life full.
yeah. Yeah, so that is awesome. So that's really taken things up a notch for me. And then those last two maps we played last night were really good. And then I want to. I know John's going to be on tonight to play with us, and I want to do the normal multiplayer, but I also want to try the zombie stuff with you guys.
Mhm.
That looks cool. So
It did look very cool online.
and
It looked
yeah,
better than I imagined.
yeah, and we can still rank up and everything, which is cool. So we're
Right.
not like losing, we're not like wasting any time, no matter what. So and then I'm going to play 2K. I'll probably get back into domination now that you're on there, and I'll just kind of start transitioning back over to that. I want to race. I want to play some Dirt 5. I think we should try some multiplayer races one day, see what that's
Yeah.
about. And gosh, man, there's just so much. Godfall, I'll still chip away at that whenever I can. Maybe when you guys aren't on, things like that. That game is all that combat is so good. Oh my god, so good. Feels good. What else? Gosh, I'm sure I'm forgetting all kinds of stuff. Watch Dogs, I might get to that. I definitely need to see what it looks like on the PS5 first, for sure. So there's a lot to play. Don't get me wrong. I'm gonna spread the love around, but most importantly, I want to beat Astro's Playroom, and then I want to beat Spider-Man Miles Morales so that I can make some room for Cyberpunk that's coming out in a month. So I got to have that done so I can have some room to get ready for that. All roads lead to Cyberpunk for me, Travis. That's the end. That's the end game right now. So anyway, with that said, that's all we've got for this episode. If you guys enjoyed the show, if you liked what you heard, please consider subscribing so you never miss an episode. Leave us a review, whether it's positive or negative. And if you know someone who may enjoy a PlayStation podcast, well, do us a favor and share us with them. If you want to reach out to us, again, you can do that on Twitter at the DualSense Pod. If you'd like to check out some game clips, which hopefully we'll be uploading some clips and videos and possibly streaming very soon, you can do that on YouTube at 4 on 5 Gaming. 5 is the number 5, don't forget. And you guys enjoy the new consoles. Take care, and we will talk at you next week.